there was a robbery. It was an attempted robbery. And I was in the role of Buzzy, the chief robber. It was a dinner theater without the dinner. It was a great success. So my real name is Bruce McCulloch, and I'm the presider here at BUC for the month of November. And we had a lot of fun putting on this play, and it was well attended by folks for the 2 nights. We had a total of 119 people, and the highest amount that we've ever had for a dinner theater in the past was 125. So this is pretty special. In case you haven't noticed it with your masks on and everything, we are still in the middle of a pandemic. They haven't said, yeah, we're finished now, much as we'd all like that to be true. So there was a story of a lady last night that came up to Matt and said that in the entire pandemic, she really had lost her ability to laugh. And last night, for the first time, she was finding herself in deep belly laughs. And so for that gift, we are very, very grateful. And the gift of laughter is an important gift that somehow the Spirit has given us, and it's something to be treasured. And so he gathered today in a worship ceremony and to celebrate many other things, but it's important to remember that the gift of laughter is important as well. So at this stage, I want to turn the other announcements over to Matt, because he's got a couple.
I do have a couple. Thanks, Bruce. And yeah, the theater, right? It's like Bruce was saying, the laughter is so important. And it's to remember, like, we touch over 150 people when we do that. It's incredible, right? All the people who are affected by this. That's not just a good theater. That's great ministry, right? So thanks to Kim and to all of our actors, some of whom are brave enough to still be here today. They're at the church Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and they're here on Sunday too, like this guy. So we're really thankful for that. I've got a couple of announcements I want to share. This one's super important for the community. So this is an announcement on behalf of Reverend Katie Avon. She's our Minister of Congregational Care. And on her behalf and on behalf of her family, I just want to thank Bedford United Church for everybody's expressions of love and support in the past few weeks. It's meant the world to Katie, and she's felt the powerful impact of all of your prayers and thoughts. And as some of you know, her family is coping with a terminal diagnosis that's very challenging for them. And this past week, it really became clear to her and to BUC that the demands of the situation really require Katie to take a step back from her congregational care ministry in order to devote her whole attention to caring for herself and for her family. So at Bedford United, we're moving quickly to secure a temporary replacement while Katie's away that can help lead the pastoral care team and our general pastoral care ministry in the congregation until she can return. And I'm really proud to be able to announce this morning that none other than the Reverend Dr. Diane Tingley has agreed. I was going to call David, but he was overseas. But Diane answered the call and said, yeah, Matt, I think I can do that. So we're working that out with Diane now, which is great. And Katie just reminded me, you know, as she got ready to leave this week, she really can't wait to see everybody again in the new year. She just loves this community. She treasures her ministry, and she knows this is the best decision for her, and we all heartily support that. So we'll be praying for her and her family every step of the way, and thanks to everybody for being patient as we work out the details together. And I really want to take a moment this morning to thank the lay pastoral care team who have been doing exceptional ministry throughout the entirety of the pandemic, let alone before it. And if you'd really like to make a huge impact on your life and the life of the people around you, that is a beautiful ministry to be a part of. If you're curious to be part of the pastoral care team, just give us a holler at the office and we'll help make some introductions and work some things out. I know that I have a fabulous announcement from Outreach. Jane and Ann are here, and there's a lot going on. A lot.
Including outfits.
Yeah, I like the outfits.
So, good morning, everyone. Anne and I are two of the members from the Small But Mighty outreach team. And speaking of recruiting, we'd love to have more of you to share this ministry with us. So we have a few announcements. Most of these were in the bulletin this week. Take the mask off. Thank you. Most of these were in the, I'm used to actually lecturing at, I teach, and I'm used to doing it with that mask on. Anyway, so most of these were in the bulletin this week, but we wanted to give you a reminder of all the things that are going on right now. So we're collecting items for our Advent drives. We help a number of communities, and there are boxes out in the porch that are labeled and marked for the different drives that we are engaged in. I first want to say that the Beacon House drive for cranberry sauce this year has been achieved. Woohoo! Thank you to all of you who helped out with that. For Brunswick Street Mission, Bob Marriott has been really heading that up, and we've been collecting coats and boots, which is what they want from us this year, just strictly coats and boots, and the deadline was yesterday, and I know that the weeks leading up to yesterday, the collections had been very strong. I don't have the final count, but I think that they were very happy last year, and they continue to be very happy with those donations this year. So, Anne.
Okay. So, my first props. Sackville Heights Community Center Christmas Cheer. I had to read that. Their wish is for homemade, is, you know, appreciated, all the knitters out there, like my mother-in-law. For children up to 12 is the age group that they're asking us to target for mittens and hats and scarves. It's been a shift in the last few years. It used to be just a general toys and clothing, but they are doing very well, and they've asked us if we could do the knitted things, and or store-bought, it doesn't matter. That's to be done by the 20.
Oh, the deadline for those is November 28th. So they'll be collected November 28th. That gives you a couple of weeks to get busy with your needles.
Yeah. Okay.
So we just have a couple more things to announce. Phoenix House, this is the annual drive to provide items for Phoenix youth, and in the past we used to hang stockings around the sanctuary, and during the pandemic we have stopped doing that, hanging them up, but they will be distributed, so all the youth at Phoenix House will get a stocking, but what we're asking you to do is fill bags, shopping bags, of items, and the list of items was in the bulletin. It'll be repeated in the bulletin this week, but they're really looking for toiletries, full size, not travel size, bus tickets, Tim Hortons gift cards, that kind of thing. But if you are dropping off gift cards, you would please put them in an envelope and leave them in the mailbox outside of the church rather than dropping them in the boxes. And we have fridge magnets that you can take home instead of having the stockings from around the sanctuary to remind you to fill the bags of things for Phoenix House. And there's a whole, we'll leave these in the back of the church, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't that the plan? Yeah. And last year, Karen Parnell's car, a large SUV, was filled to bursting with items for Phoenix House. So that was really, you can get more in a shopping bag than in that little stocking. And finally,
so those two are for the 28th. This is the final collection date. This one's a little bit earlier. This is Welcome Housing. So Welcome Housing.
Hold that for you.
Okay. Welcome Housing is an organization that helps people get housing. It helps them get housing, but then they have a place to live in, but nothing in it. They don't have the pots and the pans and the dishes and the linens and all these other, the towels, and that's what we're hoping to, is their wish from us, is that we would help get some of those things for them for Christmas for their clients. So it can be everything. It can be cooking utensils, it can be dishcloths, it can be face cloths, it can be
Dishes, pots, pans.
small appliances, all those kinds of things to help fill up these apartments that
Aprons.
these people are so happy to be in.
Yes, and also, you know, tools, hammers. I mean, you want to hang a painting or a picture, right? So you need a screwdriver and a nail and a hammer. So not just kitchen things, but all the things that you use in your house, little things that would be useful to somebody. And last year, we didn't collect as much in the way of household supplies for Welcome Housing as we would have liked. So we would really like to put a strong emphasis on the need to collect those kinds of items to help people that have just been lucky enough to move into their own apartment, most
So
likely.
that's for coming up this week. So the deadline, excuse me, the deadline is for next Sunday. So the boxes.
21st.
The boxes will be on, I think that's next Sunday.
Yes.
Okay. The boxes will be on the porch, so you can come in through the week or next Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both for all that amazing work, and thank you, BUC, for all your generosity. And lots of us are very aware of the housing crisis and shortage that's going on, so here's something practical that we can do for people who are moving in and who are in need of some support and some aid to make their lives a little bit easier. So let's take that one home with us and see what we can do. And the last one we've got is from the fellowship unit of the United Church Women. I would be remiss if I did not say this. Linda asked me to do it, so it's going to get done. Saturday, December 4th, it's coming. Delicious turkey salad, potato salad on a bed of greens, cranberry relish mold, sliced cucumbers, tomatoes, biscuit. And wait, there's more. Carrot cake square for $15 a meal. Come on. Where can you get that for $15? Meals can be purchased by contacting one of the following folks by email or phone. That's Linda or Rena. Their information is in the bulletin there, in your emailed announcements. So go take that up, and they will take your money. They will. Cash or checks payable to Fellowship Unit UCW. They can't do e-transfers right now, so cash or checks, but they will take your money. And pickup is going to be Saturday, December 4th from 11:30 to 12:30 in the upper lot. And just on behalf of the UCW, thank you so much, everybody, for your support. We're starting to rev up all the old muscles of pre-pandemic fundraising at the church. These things are coming alive, Bruce. So let's try and support them, everybody. That's Saturday, December 4th for the fellowship units. Drive-through Christmas lunch. We're opening up a drive-through. I mean, we're streaming now. Now we've got a drive-through. So it's all good.
And it's worth pointing out again that although these are fundraising efforts, these are also small group ministry efforts. Like the dinner theater was, this is the small group of the UCW fellowship team getting together, or was it the fireside team?
Fellowship. Yeah.
Fellowship, okay. They love to be with each other, and so that's their chance for fellowship in just like the name says. At this stage, I'd like to welcome you to this particular service. This is deemed to be the Transgender Day of Remembrance. November 20th was set aside to recognize those who have been killed due to ignorance and hatred, targeted because they were trans or gender non-conforming. The first event took place in 1999 in San Francisco to honor Rita Hester, who had been brutally murdered the previous year. Today is a particular opportunity to meet hatred and indifference with love and respect, something that we seek to do in all our words and actions as affirming congregation in the United Church of Canada.
Friends, as I get ready to acknowledge the territory on which we are today, I'm just going to invite Ann to come forward. She's going to be lighting our candles for us here in a second. And I just want to remind everybody that at Bedford United Church, as part of the United Church of Canada, we acknowledge that we live and work and worship on the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. And we acknowledge that the work of justice is not just about how we treat people within the four walls of our church, but it's also how we treat people in the world in which we live. We're committed to journeying to a place where all people, including our Indigenous neighbors and nations, live in justice and peace together in this land. And if you're looking to find out more, you can visit the United Church of Canada webpage, Indigenous Ministries, or you can go right to Bedford United's homepage and you can see our invitation for acts of reconciliation.
God is here.
All the time.
All the time.
God is here.
Our God, whom we call by many names, but who calls us each beloved. I come in gratitude for the richness, the diversity, the great abundance of unique souls in this world. Thank you for the very complexity that distinguishes each one of us. May all people find those who love them and accept them, will value their distinctive beauty and spirits. May we each feel the presence of your transcending mystery. May you know that we are part of life that is rooted in divine, emanating love, and may we find the comfort of knowing that every one of us is cherished by God. All are welcome.
All the time.
All the time.
All are welcome. Thank you so much, Anne. Oh, that's good, man. Thanks, there.
Can I get some power? Oh, there we go. Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and everyone at home. What's two more announcements, right? So, for those who didn't come on Sunday last week, we had our first Jammers Day, and that was a whole lot of fun. We had a saxophone player, we had two ukulele ladies, we had an accordion player, and we had a jazz drummer, and me. And just wanted to throw that out there that I will be announcing again as we get closer. Our next one will be on December 5th, I believe, the first Sunday of December. So David, you better be there. I'm forgiving you because you were away. And others. Brian King with his djembe and all that stuff. Anyway, second thing, Christmas concert. The Christmas choir is coming. And that is on December the 12th. If you've been looking at emails from church, you've seen that. And they have been working hard through their masks. I don't know what's going to happen on that day, but boy, I tell you, if they could just rip the masks off, they sound pretty good with the mask, but yeah. Anyway, so that will be on the 12th of December at 9 and 11 a.m. So if you would like to, I would love for you to stand if you're able. And we are going to teach you a little song. It's an old song written in 1974 called Plenty of Room in the Family. And I thought that would be a cool song to sing today, considering we're welcoming all people and thinking of the transgender community. And it's so good to be in a church that is a welcoming and safe space, right? Plenty of room in the family. Let's see, maybe we should get a clap going. I'd love to have a drummer this morning, but clap with me. Keep that going.
Plenty of room in the fold again. Plenty of room in the family.
time, plenty of room in the family. Room for the young and the old. Plenty of happiness, plenty of love, plenty of room in the fold. Plenty of food at the table, no need to economize there. There's all you can hold and there's plenty besides, and the storehouse will never be there. Plenty of room in the family, room for the young and the old. Plenty of happiness, plenty of love, plenty of room in the fold. There's lots to be done in the family, a job to feed every hand. There's caring and lifting and loving to do, so pitch in and help all you can. All right, before we sing that chorus 3 more times, now's your chance to turn and greet your neighbor. Fist bump, elbow bump, say hello as we sing it again. Plenty of room in the family, room for the young and the old. Plenty of happiness, plenty of love, plenty of room in the fold. Plenty of room in the family, room for the young and the old. Plenty of happiness, plenty of love, plenty of room in the fold. Last time, plenty of room in the family, room for the young and the old. Plenty of happiness, plenty of love, plenty of room in the fold. Plenty of room in the fold. Plenty of room in the fold. Good job, everyone. You can be seated. You know, that's a message we need to spread about BUC, and not only BUC, but God, that all are welcome. Love is encompassing. We're going to sing All Who Are Thirsty. So let's just relax into the presence of God and see what the Spirit has to say to us today. Sing, Holy Spirit, come.
Holy Spirit, come. Holy Spirit, come. Holy Spirit,
Voices United 600, When I Needed a Neighbor.
when I needed a neighbor, were you there? Were you there? When I needed a neighbor, were you there? And the creed and the color and the name won't matter, were you there? I was hungry and thirsty, were you there? Were you there? I was hungry and thirsty, were you there? And the creed and the color and the name won't matter, were you there? I was cold, I was naked, were you there? Were you there? I was cold, I was naked, were you there? And the creed and the color and the name won't matter, were you there? When I needed a healer, were you there? Were you there? When I needed a healer, were you there? And the creed and the color and the name won't matter, were you there? Wherever you travel, I'll be there, I'll be there. Wherever you travel, I'll be there. And the creed and the color and the name won't matter, are you there?
Good morning. I hope everyone that's watching from afar has the sun beaming in as it is right now. Today I'm reading Psalm 139 as translated by renowned author and scholar David Rosenberg from his work, A Literary Bible. Rosenberg takes the psalm many of us know and brings out a whole other dimension of the Hebrew language from his Jewish roots that opens our spirits to new images and ways of freshly hearing these ancient words. Psalm 139 deeply resonated with our guest speaker, who is a trans minister in the United Church, whom Matthew will introduce shortly. Just looking at you there. Sorry, Matt. Let's open our minds, our hearts, our spirit, and hear the beauty of this sacred poetry for the divine and the place of every creature in the universe. There's nothing in me, my God, that doesn't open to your eyes. You know when I sit, you note when I arise. In the darkest closet of my thought, there is an open window of sunshine for you. You walk with me, lie down with me. At every move, await me. At every pause, you know my words. My tongue will print in air. If I say yes, you have already nodded. No, you have shaken your head. In any doubts I lose my way, I find your hand on me. Such knowledge so high, I can never reach with a mind or hold any longer than a breath. To get away from you, I could let my imagination fly, but you would hold it in the sky. Or I could sleep with the dead in the ground, but your fire from the depths would awaken me. I could fly on ray of sun, from dawn in east, west to stars of night, and your hand would point the way, and your right hand hold me steady. However close I pull the night around me, even at midnight, day strips me naked. In your tender sight, black and white are one, all light. You who put me together piece by piece in the womb, from light. That work shines through the form of my skeleton on the songs of words you watched as my back steadied. The still, soft fuselage of ribs in primitive studio deep within. You saw me as putty, a life unfashioned, a plane at the bottom of the sea, and the great book of its life this embryo will write in a body you have sculpted. My God, your thoughts, high and precious, beyond logic like stars, or like grains of sand, I try to count. I fall asleep and awake on the beach of your making. My God, stop the breath of men who live by blood alone and lie to your face, who think they can hide behind the same petty smile they used to smear your name. My God, look at me, see my heart, test me to find my mind. If any bitterness lives here, lead me out into the selfless open. Herein is wisdom.
Thank you so much, Mary Louise. And, as Bruce was saying, laughter, gotta have it. Gotta have it. We wouldn't get through these days without it. Well, friends, my name is Reverend Matthew Fillier, and I'm your preacher today here at BUC. And I'm going to introduce a colleague of mine a little bit later. But first, I want to acknowledge that November 20th is the Transgender Day of Remembrance. And so today we gather together and we remember that in 2021 so far, 375 transgender and gender non-conforming people have lost their lives. They've been murdered. And since 2008, over 4,000 people worldwide have been murdered just for being on the outside who they are on the inside. I know we're all tired of bad news. God knows I get that. And we will get to the good news this morning. But first, we need to understand the human lives behind a story that gets so little attention. And don't think this is somebody else's story. This is the story that affects people right here at Bedford United Church. And I'm not going to share these numbers out of fear, but out of a desire for all of us to understand the inhumanity that is happening around us to God's people, our transgender and non-gender conforming siblings in Christ. So 96% of those murdered globally were trans women and trans feminine people. What does that tell you about violence against women? 58% of murdered trans people whose occupation is known were sex workers. I mean, what does that say about who society values and what our economy forces people to do? Murders of trans people in the United States have doubled from last year. And people of color make up 89% of the 53 trans people who were murdered in 2021 in the States. And since 2008, there have been 9 killings in Canada that we know about. The average age of those murders is 30 years old. The youngest is 13 around the world. The oldest is 68. The majority of the victims are Black and migrant trans women of color and trans sex workers. And these numbers are just this tiny glimpse of the reality on the ground, because the only way we know the statistics is if there are transgendered organizations working to collect them in these countries. Most cases continue to go unreported, and when they're reported, they don't get a lot of attention. In the face of this humanity, this inhumanity, how can a church, of all things, lead the way in being more human? I mean, hasn't Christianity been like the bane of relentless oppression and violence against transgendered people? What does our church believe? What does our congregation believe in the face of such hate? And I want to read to you from the United Church of Canada's commitment to inclusion, because lots of us have probably never heard these words, right? But our denomination said this ages ago. We said to each other, the United Church of Canada affirms that gender and sexuality are gifts of God, and that all persons are made in the image of God. We welcome into full membership and full ministry people of all sexual orientations and gender identities. The United Church is opposed to discrimination against any person on any basis by which we devalue another human being. The struggle for justice against sexism and gender-based violence, and towards justice for all people of all gender identities and orientations, are fundamental ways in which the United Church seeks to transform the structures and systems and be faithful to God's vision of humanity. And we admit together when we make this statement that even as we seek to eliminate sexism and misogyny, homophobia, biphobia, transphobia, we know that we too are guilty of these forms of oppression. We're not immune to them. And we acknowledge the roles that Christianity and religion in general has played in such oppression. And we hear the calls to take action and end all forms of discrimination. So we acknowledge that, like we said at the beginning of the service, the work of justice is not just about how we treat people inside the 4 walls of a congregation, but what matters is how we treat all people out there on this planet that we share. We're committed to journeying to a place where everyone lives with love and justice and peace together. And at Bedford United, we use that language sometimes you'll hear in a service where we say, the kingdom of God. We're not stressing that Jesus is some kind of monarch that has, or God has some kind of monarch that has control over us like a king does a state, but the kingdom is closer to a way of living that Jesus taught, where we are all related. We're all family of one creation. That's the good news, that's rooted in one divine, beautiful, diverse image. When you consider the vast majority of religion, let alone Christianity, and consider what this all thinks about transgendered people, I think that's a pretty rich statement and powerful one for us to make as a church. And it's something I'm really proud of, and that pride comes really easy for me, right? I'm a white, middle-class, heterosexual man. I'm more than that, but I'm not ashamed of it either. That's how I identify. But I'm acutely aware that compared to my trans and gender non-conforming siblings in Christ, I'm never going to be persecuted by how I present or identify. My life is not under threat because of who I am on the outside. I don't have to be afraid of showing how God knit my spirit together inside. Words are beautiful, but as the gospel reminds us, they've got to be made flesh. They have to take form in our life together if they're going to mean anything. So rather than my words about Transgender Remembrance Day, I want to invite us to hear the words of my colleague, Reverend Ruth Wood of the Calvary Pastoral Charge in Kingston, Ontario. I'll invite her to introduce herself and tell her story. Anne, would you play that for us?
My name is Ruth Wood. I'm the minister at Calvary United Church in Kingston, Ontario, and I've been there for 8 years now. The last 2 years, have been a journey for both myself and the congregation in ways that have been exciting but also challenging. I'm transgender. For me, that means that I was born with a male body, but I have a decidedly female sense of inner spirit. In May of 2010, I found that I could no longer continue to hide who I was from my family, from my friends, and especially from my parishioners. So I came out. I told them that I was transgender and that I would be changing the way that I looked so that I would be presenting the person that I felt I truly was. Obviously, I was quite relieved when most of my parishioners told me that they cared more about who I was as a person inside than what I looked like on the outside. We soon found that that was easier said than done. I started to make changes in what I thought was a horribly slow pace, and yet for some of my parishioners, it was too fast. But we kept the lines of communication open, and step by step, we learned to deal with the change. Today, our relationship is a good, solid one, and we worry about more mundane things like how we'll pay the bills. If coming out was the beginning of the journey for my congregation, it was not the beginning of my journey. As a minister, I spend a great deal of time in theological reflection, not just when looking at the readings or preparing Sunday worship, but also in all of the events going on in the world around me, and certainly those events that are in my personal life. So it's no surprise that I soon found myself thinking of my gender identity, and this disconnect between it and my body in a theological way. And I knew I had to do that. I had to be able to speak faithfully to my parishioners when I told them. And so I was soon asking questions like, where is God in all of this? What does God think of my gender and my gender identity? How can I stand up in front of my congregation and tell them faithfully that I believe God does not care that I am transgender? Looking at the scriptures for a direct answer obviously didn't work. It would be like going to the Bible looking for thoughts on how God feels about airplanes. But as I searched for more indirect guidance, I came to Psalm 139, which begins with the words, "O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar away. You search out my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, O Lord, you know it completely." Now, those words gave me great comfort. They helped me remember that God really does know me, that we have this wonderful, intimate relationship with God. But it was really the verses 13 and 14 of this psalm that spoke so eloquently to me. "For it was you who formed my inward parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. That I know very well." And those verses are what reminded me that I am a part of God's great, diverse creation. A diversity that includes not just human beings, but everything around us. And not only a part of the creation, but as part of that creation, loved by God. Wonderful as that realization was, it raised another question. If I'm a part of God's creation and God loves me just the way I am, how could I even think? How could I dare think about having surgery to change my body? As I thought about it, I remembered those opening lines that God knows me completely. God knows the pain that this disconnect causes me. And I am certain that God does not want me to continue to suffer that pain if I don't have to. And so I am sure that God has no problem with me being transgender, and that God will love me every bit as much after my surgery. And so I was able to faithfully say to my congregation, yes, indeed, I believe that God is perfectly fine with my gender identity. I hope that this short insight into my journey and into my theological perspective will help you in your discernment today. And I hope that you will welcome transgender people as simply another group that are a part of God's beautiful, diverse creation.
I think you'll agree with me that Reverend Woods deciding to do that for our national church is the very definition of courage and bravery, right? Like, I can't fathom what that was like for her and for a community of faith, and it gives me such hope. Because ours is a church where someone like Reverend Woods can tell that story and it doesn't end with death. It ends with ordination and ministry. I mean, thanks be to God. I was coming to work on Thursday of last week, and there was somebody parked in the lot out back, and I just stopped to chat as I often do, and they just happened to be doing a little bit of catch-up in between their shifts. And we got to talking, and, she looked at me and she said, I'm really proud of this church. I said, yeah, why is that? And she said, you guys, you put your Black Lives Matter sign right out on the front lawn when that was so controversial. You've always hung those beautiful pride flags from the church. Thank you, inclusivity team. And they were just like, it makes me really proud to live here. And we got to chatting a little bit about that and their relationship with church. And then when they felt safe enough, they said, I got a friend who's transgender. And he and his partner, they're very religious, they're very spiritual. Neither one of their churches will marry them. And they're heartbroken about it, that there's nowhere for them to get married. They don't want to go to a justice of the peace. They want the Spirit to recognize their marriage. They want God to recognize their marriage and to be in a community that does that. And then they looked at me and they went, do you do that? What do you think, Bedford United Church? Do we do that? Yes, we do. It's exactly right, we do. So if you're watching today and you're wondering that, yes, there is a place that will marry you, and much, much more besides, right? Everyone is welcome at BUC. It's May 7th, 2006, right? When we said, we the people of Bedford United, we declare publicly our commitment to creating a community where all people are welcome, regardless of age, gender, race, sexual orientation, gender identity, differing abilities, ethnic backgrounds, or economic circumstance. All persons are welcome to take part in every aspect of our congregational life, whether it be membership, leadership, celebrating life passages, or yes, marriage. And we celebrate the richness that this diversity brings to our church, even as it challenges us. We pray for God's Spirit to guide us as we work for reconciliation and justice for all persons in church and society. We began that work in 2006, and we are not done, right? We have so much to learn. We have so much to transform together as allies and as an affirming congregation, as people who seek justice and resist evil. But we're on the road, and we make the road of love and justice by how we walk it. Remember those words? Think of what Reverend Woods just told us. Those beautiful words from David Rosenberg, in your tender sight, black and white. And I'm going to add, and brown and red, yellow, orange, green, light blue, and pink and purple too. They are all one. One light, all light. You who have put me together piece by piece in the womb from light. That work shines through the form of my skeleton on my song of words, and the great book of its life this embryo will write in a body you have sculpted. If you're watching this and you're transgender or gender non-conforming, God loves you. all of you, from the top of your head to the tip of your toes. And so do we at Bedford United Church. If you're wondering what you can do to make a difference today, join our inclusivity team at BUC. Megan Aston is knocking it out of the park with her team. They'd love to have you. They've got all kinds of engagement that they're working on. Look up gender, sexuality, and orientation on the United Church of Canada webpage and learn something about the work your denomination has been doing, which is historic. It goes back to like the 60s we've been at this. It's amazing. Learn the ways that we're engaging across the country and around the world. You can always contact the Nova Scotia Rainbow Action Project or the Youth Project here at home in Nova Scotia and Halifax area. These are organizations that I know firsthand have saved the lives of parishioners that I have had and walked with. And if you're watching today and you're curious, but you're not ready to step out into an affirming sanctuary and ministry like this one, well, remember, there are safe places for you to go in the Halifax area, like Queer Spirit Church with Reverend Arla Johnson and Rick Gunn over at First Baptist on Oxford Street. They meet the first Wednesday of the month. You are not alone. Reverend Woods said, God knows me completely. God knows the pain that this disconnect causes me. And I'm certain that God does not want me to continue to suffer that pain if I don't have to. And so I'm sure that God has no problem with me being transgender. Let's work and worship and witness for a world where that's not just true of God, but for our church, for this congregation, and for humanity. On this Transgender Day of Remembrance, let's ponder again, in the face of so much inhumanity, how does the Spirit call you and me to be even more human at BUC? Friends, that Spirit in me honors the Spirit in you. And all the people said, Amen.
Thank you, choir. And thank you to all the very many volunteers that are part of this service, the AV team, of course, but the inclusivity team that does so much. We give so much in our church in terms of time and talent, and there's also a need to give treasure to keep the work of this church going. And so it's at that stage that we're at the offertory stage of the service, and there are many ways to give. There's the collection plate that's at the back of the church. There's e-transfers, and the preferred method is PAR, pre-authorized remittance, which allows for us, the church, to know of the stable income that we have. So for all the people that give in all those various ways, time, treasure, and talents, we give grateful thanks, and I offer you a small prayer of saying, you're awesome. At this stage, Matt, we'll move on to the candles.
Yeah, I think we got him, huh?
Oh, yeah, we got him.
We
Sorry.
do Flammy, then we do candles. You got it.
Just waiting for some Oh, there we go. If you are able, I'd like you to stand. We're going to sing My Love Colors Outside the Lines.
To color outside the lines, tear back the curtains, sun come in and shine. I want to walk beyond the boundaries where I've never been before, throw open doors to worlds outside the lines. We're not prepared to drown, body and soul need a soaking from time to time. And we'll never move the gravestones if we're not prepared to die and realize there are worlds outside the lines. We'll never walk on water, let's sing it. We'll never walk on water if we're not prepared to drown, body and soul need a soaking from time to time. And we'll never move the grave gravestones if we're not prepared to die and realize there are worlds outside the line. There are worlds outside the lines. Last time. There are worlds outside the lines. Amen. You can be seated.
There was spirit in that one, everybody. We like that. Bruce and I, we're going to invite people. Figured that this might be a very important thing to do for folks today. We have our beautiful communion table up here. We have our beautiful rainbow shawl that was made for us. It's gorgeous, gorgeous rainbow cross that was made for us during the inclusivity service recently this past year. We have these beautiful candles. We just figured if you would like to take some time, Tony's just going to maybe play a little bit here for us. And if you would like to come forward and light a candle, Bruce and I will light the candle for you, but we'll get you to hold the candle. And if you feel like walking up the steps, that's great. If you don't, we can do that for you. If you need to remain seated, just raise your hand. I'll come to you. We're lighting candles in memory of people, certainly, who have paid the ultimate price for who they are on the inside, being reflected outside. We're also lighting candles in memory of friends and family who are transgender, gender non-conforming. And we're also lighting, I think, candles remembering the good news, the hope that things are changing, that change is possible for us. So let's gather together and share the light, and then Bruce is going to lead us in prayer.
Note to self, can't blow the candle out with a mask on. God, full of mercy, bless the souls of all who are in our hearts on this Transgender Day of Remembrance. We call to mind today, young and old, of every faith, race, and gender experience who have died by violence. We remember those who have died because they would not hide or did not pass, or did pass, or stood too proud. Today we name them, the reluctant activist, the fiery hurler of heels, the warrior for quiet truth, the one whom no one really knew. As many as we can name, there are thousands more whom we cannot, and for whom no prayers may have been said. We mourn their senseless deaths and give thanks for their lives, for their teaching, and for the brief glow of each holy flame. We pray for the strength to carry on their legacy of vision, bravery, and love. And as we remember them, we remember with them the thousands more who've taken their own lives. We pray for resolve to root out the injustice, ignorance, and cruelty that grow despair. And we pray, God, that all those who perpetrate hate and violence will speedily come to understand that your creation has many faces, many genders, many holy expressions. Blessed are they who have allowed their divine image to shine in the world. Blessed is God, in whom no light is extinguished. In every name that is holy, we ask it. Amen. So this is the blessing. God of creation, God of mystery, God of biology. There is no creation, no life that is not of you. When we whisper our names, it is not the name of parents, as they said it, as the doctor discussed the parts of the body. We knew our whole. You called us beloved. May we unite as God's people, no longer hating in your holy name. We are called to love, help, and even heal our neighbors who are working out who they are, our neighbors who are being who they want to be, our neighbors who are living who they have always been. As we pray, loving one, touch us. Open our eyes, open our hearts, open our very souls to see that all are yours. Amen.
Let's stand together as you're able and sing as we leave when you walk from here. I pray you'll have a blessed week and spread some love around. When you walk from here, when you walk from here, walk with justice, walk with mercy, and with God's humble care. When you walk from here, when you walk from here, walk with justice, walk with mercy, and with God's humble care.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you next week. Be well.